Welcome to Lead Stronger Longer, the podcast that empowers you to purposefully lead your life personally and professionally. My guest today is Dr. James Rodríguez. He is the president and CEO of Fathers and Families Coalition of America. With 2 decades in the armed forces, spanning 2 branches, his lifelong commitment to service has touched diverse realms from early childhood education, public health, child welfare, and beyond. A decorated veteran, he has pioneered fatherhood programs, secured millions in grants, and shaped human development courses. A distinguished educator, his impact extends globally, fostering professional development and empowering individuals worldwide. Join us as we delve into his remarkable journey of service and advocacy and leading stronger longer, personally and professionally. Welcome, James. Let's start off with your favorite quote or mantra.
Well, I have 2 mantras or 2 favorite quotes. So I thought about this, but when I was 17, my drill sergeant had shirts made for our platoon, and it says "Striving for Excellence." And I'll never forget, because Staff Sergeant Timothy Green said, "You'll never be excellent. You can only strive for it." So I think over the years, I've held on to that. But then I listened to this book by Matthew McConaughey, and it's called Green Light. And in there, he gives a quote: "Would you rather be the arrow or the target?" So looking at both at the nexus, it comes together in my life of how can I be both the target, striving for excellence, knowing that I'm never going to be perfect.
Wow. Okay, so we'll use that as that theme overall, because I like to kind of hone in on some more of how that mantra or quote or motto has really impacted you. And let's go right into this next piece, because you have a specialization that is so unique, and I'd love to know the story behind that. Can you share that?
About my background or specifically?
Yeah, what led to your specialization specifically? You are, no question, you're here to serve in all that realm, but this fathers, the piece around fathers and the piece that you are doing in terms of, I believe fathers are leaders and the most important leaders in our families, fathers and mothers, right? That we are here to steward the youth. And I know that that is a congruent piece that you and I have together. And I would really love to know the story behind what led to that specialization for you.
It's kind of complex because I've had different role models in my life. And I had spoken with someone. I want to make sure that I let her, if she gets a chance to hear this. But I was sharing with Master Sergeant Kenyatta Rodríguez that while she retired from the Marine Corps, she's still a great leader and she's a role model. And you can have people that through observation that they impact your life. And I've always shared, especially for people in the military, you are always being watched. You must be careful what you do in and out of your professionalism, because the world is always watching you. You have to set yourself at a higher standards. And I think that comes really from childhood, making good and bad choices in life. And I had a role model who invested into me, but I really didn't realize my purpose or what my philosophy of my own existentialism is. I did want to serve even as a teenager, and that's why I became a combat medic. I mean, it's one of the opportunities in the military. Yeah, you carry a weapon, but you're really to save the lives of others. And then to become a counselor with people whose lives have been hit with trauma at 22, 23, to be one of the youngest counselors in the Department of Defense. So I think that as I kept growing, I didn't realize it. And then there was a program working with youth, and I was 23. So I think I was pretty young, but I went in the military at 17 and here I'm a non-commissioned officer. And I said, let's have these youth come in. We'll mentor them on the installation through the summer, and they get workforce experience, and they actually get like a paid internship. I had no idea that they all looked a lot like me. They were all Latino or Black or Native American, and they had a common theme, whether it was a young girl or young boy, they didn't have a father in their life. And vicariously, even though I'm a young 20-year-old something, I became like a father figure. And so there's a different aspect of being a father versus a dad. And I've always held a dad is the one that gives deeper than a father. A dad is the one that gives love, emotional support, able to shift in and out of being a parent to a coach, being able to role model and mirror. And years later, because of that experience, mentoring youth, when I had to leave active duty because being a single father, and I had no choice, or I did, I could either give up full custody of my children and continue serving active duty, or just focus on what I wanted. And I'll never forget, because I shared with someone, the military is for 20 years, my children are for life. But that's wrong. My children are for generations, well beyond me. I know now that I'm going to impact 7 generations ahead of me. And it's because of decision to be committed to volunteering. And then all of a sudden there was these grant opportunities, and I'm not even 30 years old. And lo and behold, I'm writing proposals, and I made mistakes. I accidentally put a 0 on the end of one of the funding applications. So I thought it was for $600,000, but it was 6 million that was approved. A lot of leaders be like, I can't believe you got that approved. And it just started in a very positive snowballing effect. But I still didn't know what my meaning of my life was until years later. And I think that's how it started. And although it started in Arizona through a Head Start program, which I was employed at, Pinell Gila Community Child Services, I found my employment letter this week on Monday, and it said, you will be paid $540 a week, but you better have your degree by the end of the year. So it also drove me to get my education. And I said, $540 a week, that's like not that much money. But especially in leadership. And I just kept doing it, kept growing, didn't give up, didn't quit. And lo and behold, a concept, an idea, a vision became Envision. And when it becomes Envision, nothing really can stop it except for the individual. Maybe life hits us, but that's the reason why I said, no, I'm not going to start. I never started because I was a single father. Never. I never started because I was a product of being a parent without, in a single parent household. I never started because of really helping youth. I thought that if we did something to invest in the lives of children, that we would be able to help others. I never thought fathers' rights, because I don't believe in fathers' rights or mothers' rights. I just believe in the rights of the children to have the best of both. And if we can help them be the best, understand others by investing into ourselves, then they have a better opportunity. And in November, I spoke with one of my mentors, Master Sergeant Knuckles, and I told him, man, I think I left a lot on the table, that I could have done so much more globally. And then he laughed at me. He said, James, you started something in Arizona, and I've been watching you as you've grown into your manhood. And he says, did you hear what you just said? You said globally. Most people wish they can impact their community. You're impacting the globe. And it was the first time that I had to step back and say, you know what? I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm positive, and I just pray that I have the patience to keep going. I don't hit the wall, even if the wall hits me. Because there's another lady, Ms. Johnson, who said, one day you're gonna hit the wall, James. And I said, no, never. As long as the wall don't hit me, I'm gonna keep on continuing that. And that's another thing I think that's kept, at least for myself, fathers and families to keep going, and why we started it. And it's just been a beautiful ride. I really think that if I could tell someone in the future, eh, don't let other people define you. Don't let other people define your existence. Don't let other people define your purpose. There's a philosophy I believe in, it's called Ikigai. And Ikigai has 4 elements. And Ikigai starts with what's your purpose? What's your passion? What's your vocation? And what's your profession? I'm professionally a clinical social worker, but that's not my vocation. My vocation is a teacher. That's the difference. And what does the world need out of me? The world needs that advocacy, that teaching, and that means if I'm going to teach, I have to be constantly learning and learning to be a better version of me.
So brilliant and so well said. And there's so many nuggets that I want to pull some strings on here. The first that you said in terms, when you first started addressing and talking, hopefully someone will see this. And for all of us, I think that we can get into this, well, if someone's watching us, then that's when we are on our best behavior. But I really believe that if we ultimately, we are the ones that are going to look at ourselves in the mirror at the end of the day. And truly, if we can lead ourselves from the inside out, this is where I come in to support people like you and leaders like you. And the folks that will say, you're going to hit a wall, you're going to burn out. The reason you hit a wall and burn out is when you are not in alignment and not in harmony, the way you have just expressed yourself to be so in harmony. Yes, it took a journey. Yes, it took an evolution. And the thing is, you're always going to be evolving, which is so exciting. And you painted a few brush strokes of your life and shared with us this incredible journey starting so young. And I don't want to discount any of that. And none of us can discount what each of us are going through and what each of us are here to bring. And you just shared just so much light that's just flowing from you. And it's very powerful. And I'm incredibly excited and want to encourage you to know you're still so young. You're still so young and you have so much to give. And this is what my work is to ensure that those that are here to make the positive, profound impact like you know that you are supported and you are honored. And I know that that's not what you're after. You're not after the honor and all of that, but know that, someone else does have your back too to support you. And there are times when we're going to have walls that it may feel like we hit into, but I know you will climb over that, or you will break through that, or you will blow that wall up to go
Right.
through to the other side and be that much more powerful. And to know that and to watch other leaders, I think, and this idea of, oh, I'm a leader and that's my title. That's not what it's about. That's not what I want to bring to the world, is that we don't know what's going to happen. And you just painted the most magnificent story of what evolved in your life to create. So I'm really curious, looking back, was there an early crucial mistake? I love the extra zero. We won't consider that a mistake. That was a beautiful point of a zero. But was there a crucial early mistake that really led to a catalyst for you to that changed the way you were doing things and you moved in a different direction as a result of that crucial early mistake?
I think that I teach a couple of classes. One is DISC. It's about our 4 quadrants of our personality. And I wish that I had went through that earlier, because I was taking on traits that weren't mine. And when you take on traits, or when you are modeling someone else or mirroring someone else, you're not really reflecting yourself. And I think that was a problem, as well as um, not, I guess, getting in and out of relationships that might not be healthy. And I'm not talking just personal or intimate. I'm talking about trust and believing that this is going to work out all right. And actually, still, I have to monitor myself. Like, am I trying to make it work between Stephana and myself? Even though there was a powerful book that I read One Day My Soul just opened up by Yolanda Van Zett. She talks about these three relationships. One's for a season, one's for a reason, and one's for a lifetime. I think early on, I was trying to make everything a lifetime. So if I could go back, I would tell myself, it's okay. You don't have to hold on to people for a lifetime. But because of how I grew up, I wanted to hold on to everyone for life. And it was more of the empathy or the empath, but I forgot to have empathy for myself. And I will invest into more people. Like this year, when you said about reflecting on my comment about observing, I think it helps me to even mentor to others. There's a young man who I'm very proud of, and his name is Lance Corporal Andre Ocasio. I forgot his father's name, but he wanted to go in the Marine Corps, and his mom called me up to tell him no. And she knows that, like right now, my arm hurts. She knows that different things that happened to me in the military. She said, clearly you'll talk him out of it. And I said, if you do it 100%. But I'll tell you what I will do. I will work out every single day with you right now to help you get prepared physically so that you can make it into your next stage. And I will commit to you to go to your graduation when you graduate from Paris Island, South Carolina. And I don't think he realized that I was really going to do it. But because I learned from my earlier mistakes, man, you better be able to give what you can say you can give. And that's another one. Sometimes we think we can, I call it over-promising, where you're really not doing it. I hope people are not doing it out of malice, but you feel like I can give so much. Let me just overgive and overpromise. And I think that was another lesson I learned. But when I did go, I stopped in. I'm a vegetarian now, and I'll eat fish. So there was no place to eat at this place in South Carolina. Everything's barbecued, food. But there was this one national established chain. I go in there, I'm by myself, I'm just relaxing, and I witnessed 4 Marines, but I watched one continuously complain. And I knew that they weren't recruits. So I asked the waitress to come, and that I would pay for everyone's meal except for the one. And when they came to me and I explained, I said, even though you're not in uniform, you always are being watched, and you're a non-commissioned officer, you're in a position of leadership. Just because you're in a position of leadership does not make you a leader. That's the third thing. Lessons earlier in life. Just because someone is in position doesn't give them the position. There are people that we all know that you scratch your head, you were like, how did they get this position? Why were other people overlooked? And I don't know, and I'm not really here to judge, but I will say for myself, I need to continuously be able to appreciate others. It's a beautiful word. And 4 other words, I could be wrong. And that's the 4th thing that I wish I had learned a long time ago. I probably would have avoided a lot of pitfalls, but maybe I needed to go through it so I could learn it.
Wow, that was a lot. And it answered my advice you'd give for leaders to lead stronger, longer. All of that. So good. I won't take time to unpack that. I know you've got family downstairs. So I'll just say, if you have a go-to book that you'd recommend, you mentioned one. Is there one that's like your top favorite?
Oof. Okay, so I thought about this. So I've got them here. One is The Spirit of the Man by Yolanda Van Zett. I recommend that for anyone. The other one is Joyce Meyer's The Battlefield of the Mind. Ooh, I'm gonna park that one. The other one is Destiny by T.D. Jakes. The other one is Kingdom Man by Tony Evans. But then there's Hector Garcia. Hector Garcia wrote this book, Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life, along with Kinsigu. But if I have to do one, and I've only got one book left in the world to read, and I'm on an island somewhere, well, they made a movie with that with Tom Hanks, but Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. Because in the first chapter, he's talking about overcoming as a psychologist, as an existential psychologist, and how he was incarcerated because of his faith. But then when they took everything away from him, he wrote his book every single time in concentration camps in Nazi Germany. And how he wrote it was in his mind. That's why Joyce Meyer's book, The Battlefield of the Mind, I think our mind has a great way of shifting really how we process ourselves, unfortunately in a bad way, and we don't see ourselves. But Viktor Frankl, he writes about, why do I exist? What is the existentialism of my life? Every single person, everyone has some purpose in their life. And I don't know how he did that along with the Japanese philosophy. It's almost like they collaborated, and the philosophy of Ikigai and his, it's so on point. And I feel like everyone has a dynamic, unique purpose that the world needs. And that's why Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl has to be my top book.
Incredible. Oh, I agree. It's brilliant. So many key principles that you've hit on. This has been incredibly insightful and so many good nuggets. I know that those that need to hear this will reach to them. Thank you so much for your time. How can folks reach out to you, contact you, find out more about your coalition?
Well, you could Google Fathers and Families Coalition of America. There is another Dr. James C. Rodríguez with the MSW.
I'll make sure that your links are in our show notes for sure. But if there's
he's a
okay,
professor at UCLA, so it was funny when I was at University of Southern California. But honestly, I really don't do social media like I should. I have a wonderful social media manager, Afro Saeed. She takes care of that. But, you can call 1-424-225-1323. That's our organization. Or I don't even mind if you email me. It's pretty easy. It's dr.james.c.rodriguez@gmail.com, or go to our website, fathersandfamiliescoalition.org.
thank you so much. This has been incredible, and the work you do is truly inspiring. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Many blessings to you and your family.
I would like to say thank you to you. I'd like to say thank you to all of the leaders who have imparted wisdom into my life, whether it was Mr. Mesa, all the way to Mr. Knuckles, whom I mentioned. So many people that have influenced my life that I could never give enough gratefulness to them. And I just want to say thank you to you, and lead stronger and longer. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you again. Happy holidays.